I had such hopes for the simulation or animation or whatever it was they were going to do. Reconstruction, I think, is what they called it. And I have to say, my hopes were dashed. I'll tell you more in just a little bit. Hi, Tony DeWitt here. Formerly, I was a Missouri attorney in active practice. Then I retired. Then I unretired and started a YouTube channel. And I bring you all kinds of stuff about trials and the law. So, no legal advice is given, but stay tuned. This is what we're talking about today. Today, we're following the trial of Miami area developer George Pino, who is charged with manslaughter and vessel homicide arising from a tragic Labor Day weekend boat crash in Biscayne Bay back in 2022. Prosecutors alleged that Pino was operating a 29-foot boat carrying his family and a group of teenage girls when he sped through a channel and slammed into a marked navigational aid, throwing passengers into the water. 17-year-old Lucy Fernandez later died, and another young woman suffered life-altering injuries. The defense maintains this was a terrible accident, not a crime, and disputes the state's allegations of recklessness. Let's get you caught up on what happened today. Florida courts have rules, and they differentiate between an animation, which is a piece of demonstrative evidence. In other words, it doesn't go back to the jury, it's just there to help explain an expert's opinion, or a simulation, which is actually drawn from computer data, engineering data, and as a result, has to meet a much more stringent qualification than does an animation. But in this case, the distinction is apparently lost because this was really a reconstruction and it wasn't done by computer. It was done in a way that I don't think was even remotely helpful to the jury. It began with the person who did this reconstruction uh, detailing how he used his drone. And boy, does this guy love his drone.
Afternoon. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Good afternoon. My name is Detective Bengal Dow.
Where do you work?
I work for Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, Crime Scene Investigations.
What do you do as a crime scene detective?
Besides handling crime scenes, I do all manner of documentation of crime scenes, evidence collection, preservation, impounding.
I'll spare you the personal history and accolades, and we'll get to the part where he's talking about how he got involved in this.
Can you explain for the jurors what was the idea behind trying to reenact the vessel crash that happened on September the 4th of 2022? Was that like with an eye toward what we're doing right now in trial?
Well, we definitely, we want to be able to, graphically show what occurred to the best of our ability, right? So when we start, not everybody's familiar with the waterways, not everybody's familiar with how boats work, and speed and the different dynamics of boating. So we want to be able to show that, right? We want to be able to document that to the best of our ability and as close and as proximate as we can.
Without jeopardizing the safety of a jury?
Yeah, no, we definitely don't want to do it with the jury.
Having, I imagine, traveled in automobiles and traveled on boats, how does 40 miles per hour feel on a boat versus in a car?
When we're talking about speed on a boat, speed on a boat is more significant than it is in like an automobile. We're all used to traveling at speed, right? If we're thinking of a 40-mile-an-hour zone, we're thinking, that's like Kendall Drive, or it's that kind of speed. However, on a boat, you're going through an item that's 1,000 times thicker than the open air, and it takes a lot more energy to get up to that speed, to get going, and it's obviously much more difficult to do it, and you're exposed in a boat the whole time. There are no seat belts or nothing like that, so.
So can you please talk a little bit about what safety measures were taken into consideration prior to actually engaging in this reenactment?
The first things we started to...
Objection, Your Honor. 401, 403.
The objection was well taken, and our prosecutor had to change tack just a little bit, but I don't think it actually affected very much here. But it was a good objection.
Thank you. Detective, can you describe the process and the steps that were taken prior to actually going out there and doing this recreation?
Yeah, well, first we had to outline what the mission was going to be. So we did a bunch of phone calls and meetings with FWC and the state attorney's office to figure out the scope and the best way to proceed. Since this was our first time doing a water launch or a vessel launch with the drone, we met up with our Marine Patrol to take a look at their boat to make sure that we had a boat that was available that would suit our needs. Then we ended up contacting the actual manufacturer of the drone, which is Sky Deal, to make sure that we're going to be using the drone actually in a way that it was designed. I actually don't want to be operating outside of the limits of the drone, which it is designed for this, so it worked out quite well. We established parameters for safety, so we identified what's referred to as a visual observer, which happened to be Sergeant Kopp, which is my sergeant. A visual observer is defined by the FAA as a person of safety. Their sole purpose is to not only keep an eye on the drone, but the actual environment that we're in to make sure that we're operating safely, right? And that there aren't people or vessels or airplanes or helicopters that are going to be in the way, as well as other obstructions. We identified safety vessels, closed down so that we could close down the channel. Things of those kind of operational things to make sure that we can run a smooth aerial operation.
The vessels that were actually used for this recreation, were they police boats?
They were FWC boats that did the actual closing down of the channel, and then we were launching from an MDSO or a Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office vessel.
Are those boats equipped with emergency lights?
Yes, all emergency lights and sirens and radios.
Were the emergency lights on during this?
Yeah, during the whole time, yes.
And I think you said this was the first time that you had launched a drone from a vessel.
Yes.
Where would you usually do it?
Normally we do it from land. We use our drones not solely, but mostly for scene documentation is their primary role. We do other things with them, but our main function is to take aerial photography of every police involved shooting and every homicide that we attend.
About how big is this drone?
It's 2 feet across. It weighs a little over 5 pounds.
Can you show it with your hands?
It's about like this. When it's unfolded, it folds up, but it's about that big. It comes in a big case. It can travel up to 45 miles an hour. It has a 41 megapixel camera, 2K video. 41 megapixel camera, a 2K video camera, as well as a 16-degree thermal imager.
Did you have any concerns about potentially losing the drone?
Well, I mean, it's always a concern. We've got to make sure that we're operating safely, right? We don't want to be doing something with a piece of equipment and being poor stewards of taxpayer dollars. The sheriff would not appreciate that. So we want to make sure that that we're doing everything within our ability. The drone itself is a very, very high-tech piece of gear. It has onboard AI. It has 6 additional other cameras. So it was definitely operating well within its ability.
And I'm going to cut the part where he talks about catching the drone and all that. Basically, he describes getting set up to film certain areas of the channel while a FWC boat goes and simulates essentially the same speeds at the same GPS markers, approaching that channel marker to show the jury, to give them an impression of how fast things were moving and how fast it was going. But let me tell you what the problem is here. The problem is he's in a drone, right? The drone's up here and he's shooting down probably a quarter to a half mile away. I mean, the boat gets tiny on the screen as you're watching this. And I would have thought that a better way to do a reconstruction would have been to put a camera on a 29-foot Robalo boat, which they could have rented from one of the boat stores. I mean, it's not like there's not 57 different places you can buy a boat in Miami. And I'm sure you can rent one of those places too. But you put it on the flying bridge or whatever, wherever he was actually operating the boat from, and you film that. Instead, they used a drone. That makes no sense at all. I mean, it gives you some sense of the distance traveled at 47 miles per hour, but it doesn't actually show you what George Pino would have seen. And so, in that way, it's misleading. And if they do get a conviction, I would anticipate that it comes back because in this is just it is not helpful to the jury. It's confusing, and I'm surprised they actually went through this. But let's go on. We'll let him tell you a little bit more about how they did this.
Your Honor, may the witness have permission to be seated here?
Yes.
For the U.S. witness?
I'll get your voice up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Is that number one?
Yes. And this first video, is it kind of like just an all-around shot to show the location?
That's correct. So I'm here videoing. I'm trying to figure out the best altitude to be at in this area.
What's this here?
That's Turkey Point in the background. So we're getting our reference. When we do crime scene things, we do it the same way over and over and over again. So this counts as kind of my overall.
This is the longest video. This is about 5 minutes, right?
Different. That's your speed marker buoy, and that's marker 15.
And of course, this is just documenting the area, so it's not really part of the reconstruction. It's just basically for evidentiary purposes and the issues of completeness.
And then is this you initiating the
So we're going to initiate the landing sequence here, and the drone knows that it's over water here, so it's a little apprehensive, so to speak. It's still operating within with what it's supposed to be doing, but it knows that it's not supposed to land on water, so it doesn't, since it doesn't want to do that, it's sitting there analyzing the environment, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to force it to a hand catch, and it's just going to lower slowly. As all that. It's not very dramatic.
I don't understand what our prosecutor's doing here. Let's get to the good stuff.
Can you just call out the number for us?
Yes. One moment, please. This one is S1001384, drone following FWC vessel. This is the vessel.
In this video, in the beginning, I'm actually trying to keep up with the boat, but the drone doesn't go fast enough.
So you started at about the same location as the FWC vessel?
The vessel is a little bit further to the north, but thereabouts. I'm about 2/3 of the way down the channel, and the plan was as it comes through that I'm gonna zoom up with the drone. Now, the drone is capable of 45 miles an hour. However, when you do that, it uses an excessive amount of battery. So I'm going to keep it down to where it does 35, to the 35 mile an hour mark, and it's It's not, it's still not, the vote is much faster.
Where's that?
That's March 15th.
There you have it. There's the Reconstruction. And I don't see where that was very helpful at all. Now, there are several more iterations of this, and we can look at another one. But if you were sitting on that jury, would you have been impressed by this? Would you have thought, wow, now I understand? Or would you have thought, you know, this just really doesn't make a lot of sense? Because that's what I thought, but let me know what you think. Now let's look at another one of these.
Let's look at S1001390, Joan U. West, FWC.
Can you say that again slowly?
Yeah. One moment. S1001390, Drone View West, FWC. Let me just pause this real quick. This, where are you along the channel?
I'm at the far end of the channel, flying the drone. The drone is forward up by FWC. They're outside of the channel before entering the channel. They're out there because they need some distance to get up to speed, so that they have control over how fast they're so they can be as active as possible. You got to get up on plane, so they need a little bit of runway.
Is that the entrance to the channel?
It is.
What marker is that?
That's your marker 13.
Again, at the end, it's like a pinprick down at the bottom of the screen. It's like you're watching a fly crawl across the screen almost. It has very little probative value to me. If I was looking at this, I'm thinking, yeah, you shot a video of a boat going down the channel at 47 miles an hour. But I can't see what George is seeing. So what good does it do me? You may have other opinions about that, and please express them because, like I said, I'm kind of lost here. I'm really not understanding what the whole goal of this exercise was. But that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here, and have a terrific day. Thanks for watching my video. I really appreciate it. And today, as you go about your business, would you try to do just one kind thing for somebody? It doesn't have to be a big thing. You can open a door for somebody who has their arms full. You could buy somebody a Coke. You could let the manager know when somebody did a really good job for you at the grocery store or at Walmart or someplace else. There are all kinds of things we can do to make people's lives better. And a lot of times, people will always remember to go to the manager and complain. They very seldom remember to go to the manager and say, hey, that guy over there in produce is top notch. And I think it's really important to do that because I want to make the world a better place. I know you're here probably because you want to make the world a better place. So let's do that. Now let's be respectful of one another. And thank God we live in the greatest country in the free world. I do think that the good folks at YouTube have a few things they want to show you up here that you might be interested in. And if you are, I'd appreciate you clicking. Thanks. Have a great day.